Do you want to know the secret to success? It's very simple. It's a two-step process. Say less and do more. In case you missed it, I'll say it again. Say less, do more. Now, if you're wondering what that means, let me just tell you a story. When I was a little kid, I used to complain. I complained a lot. I was a little kid. See, at the time, I didn't really have all the problem-solving skills or the emotional intelligence to know how to deal with the situations that overwhelmed me as a kid. You know, there's a famous scripture or quote. It says, when I was a child, I thought as a child. And when I became an adult, I put away the childish things. And this is the time for you and for me to put away those childish complaints. It's time for us to say less and do more. And as I was growing up, my parents used to tell me that there's two things in life that I should never complain about. The first thing in life that I should never complain about, according to them, was anything that's outside of my control. And the explanation for this is pretty simple. If I did not have any control over it, then I should not waste any time complaining about it or whining about it, because no amount of time or energy that I put into complaining is going to help. It's not going to change anything. The second thing that I was taught not to complain about was anything that I do have control over. So my parents started to teach me from a very young age that if I have the ability to change something, if I have control over something, even small parts of something, that instead of spending my time and energy complaining about something, or whining about something, or just talking about the problems, that I should instead take that time and energy and invest it into coming up with a solution. Now, I don't know if you're paying attention here, but there's only two things in life. There's things that we do control, and there's things that we do not control. And that means out of those two things that we should not complain about, there's no other third option. That means we shouldn't really complain about anything. Say less, do more. Now, yes, I'll be the first to admit that there's a time and a place to complain, but it has to be done in the correct way, and it has to be done in a reasonable way and in a healthy way. And that all comes with time constraints. I don't spend too much time doing it, obviously. When we complain, a lot of times we blow off the excess emotional baggage that we have from whatever situation happened. We always have an emotional response to it, no matter how stoic somebody is. Unless they're a complete psychopath or a sociopath, everybody's going to have an emotional response to something at some point. And when we're in an emotional state of mind, it is just physically and biologically impossible for our emotional brain to make logical, rational decisions. It's two different halves of our brain, and they cannot operate at the same time. So while we're in this emotional state, oftentimes it's very helpful to blow off steam, so to speak, to complain a little bit, just to get that emotional overload out of the way, and then we can get back to the logic and reason side of things. Make sense? All right. But when you complain, you have to do it in a healthy way. You have to do it in the correct way. And what I learned from a fairly young age is that if we're going to complain, we have to go up and not out. And what do I mean by that? Well, when we complain up, we go to somebody who has more experience than us, somebody who has the resources to either help us deal with the problem or at least give us some insights that will help us. That could be God, that could be a pastor, that could be a supervisor at work, could be anybody who's older and wiser and has more experience with whatever issue you're dealing with. And when we complain out, we talk to our peers who have no experience or little experience with something, and they're not able to offer us any sort of insights or advantages other than just listening to us. And again, there's a time and a place to complain and just get that emotional steam out of our system. But to complain effectively, if you have an issue with somebody or something, always go up and not out. And that goes hand in hand with say less and do more. And once you get that emotional overload out of the way, it's time to get to work. And it's time to take that energy and it's time to take that time and invest it into solving the problems and taking control of the things that we actually have control over. There's not a lot in life that we actually have control over. I've mentioned it before. The only two things we have control over in life is our attitude and our thoughts and our responses or our reactions to the things that happen. So my challenge today for you is this. If you want to see success in your life, if you want to start hitting the goals that you set for yourself, if you want to get better at anything, say less do more.